Hello there, lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet main news today, the 3rd of June in the year 2024. We take a look at the headlines. Presidential advisor NGOMA demands retraction and apology over defamation allegations. 21 Chinese nationals plead guilty to cybercrime and fraud charges. UPND consultant SIMUUWE advises opposition to end negative international media campaign. And in international news, Kenya seeks to shift towards clean cooking fuels. And in sports news, Zambia steps up preparations for FIFA World Cup qualifier against Morocco. These and many more stories after the break.
Enjoy the benefits of an instant loan with us ranging from 1,000 kwacha to 750,000 kwacha paid express once collateral is viewed, valued and verified. Call us on 0763 595 359 or 0779 432 993. Classified Financial Express, here as your financial friend.
With the main news in detail, my name is Tapelo Joe Smata. A group of 22 individuals, including 21 Chinese nationals and 1 Cameroonian national, have pleaded guilty to various cybercrime-related charges before the Lusaka Magistrate Court. The accused were arrested in April this year for their alleged involvement in a sophisticated internet fraud syndicate. The court held that the group was found in possession of 6 SIM boxing machines and thousands of SIM cards, and they have now admitted to charges including computer-related misinterpretation and identity-related crimes. More in the following report.
Too many number impia shavalanda na shfuma, or too many number impia ya CDF na ifuma. These are common phrases the Zambian community has embraced, or in the name of alleged scammers. 22 Chinese nationals linked to the sophisticated internet fraud syndicate unearthed on 9th April 2024 in Lusaka's Roma area have pleaded guilty to the offense of computer-related misrepresentation, identity-related crimes, and prohibition of operating network or provision of service license. The 22 are aged between 25 and 51, with 1 female who is the 3rd accused under O of Kasangula Road in Kalundu area. The accused hold different positions such as director, business executives, internet expert, IT specialist, mechanic, computer programmer, contractor, hairdressers, while others are unemployed. In count 1, it is alleged that on 5th April 2024, while acting with other persons unknown, knowing without lawful excuse, the accused did input, alter or delete or suppress computer data, resulting in an authentic data with the intent that it is considered real or readable. In count 2, the 22 with 1 Cameroonian national are charged with identity-related crimes on allegations that the accused, on the same date, without lawful excuse, used the computer system to transfer, possess or use means of identification of another person. Meanwhile, Xiang Lin, believed to be the director of Golden Top Support Services Limited and Mastermind, is in the 3rd count, charged with prohibition of operating of network or provision of service license without a license. According to the facts read before court on April 5th, 2024, the Drug Enforcement Commission officers received information that the Chinese were running a company called Golden Top Support Services Limited that was sending scam messages to members of the public. The officers proceeded to the said place in Kalundu area where the accused person were found operating multiple computers in different cubicles, which culminated into a seizure of 135 personal computers, 1 laptop, 11 SIM boxes, black Toyota Alphard, money in the sum of 13,143 kwacha, $20, 17,000 dinars found in a safe, 37,000 SIM card, both local and international, 1 iPad, 2 pistols with 73 rounds of ammunition and 23 cell phones. Later, the accused persons were picked and detained in custody and items seized. However, the computers, phones and iPad were analyzed by the digital forensic analyst who discovered that the company was divided into 3 categories, being auditors, developers and Photoshop. It was also discovered that developers were receiving a text file with phone numbers of different targeted persons who they would chat with and persuade them into investing money in their business, in which fake proof of payments purporting to show that the investment were true when in fact not were generated. The SIM boxes were taken to Zicta for analysis and they confirmed that several SIM cards were inserted in the boxes and were used to divert calls from established and licensed operators and terminating the calls for financial gain on both international and local calls. Meanwhile, Lusaka Principal Magistrate Sylvia Munyinya is Tuesday, 4th June 2024, expected to convict and sentence the 22 foreign nationals. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Presidential political advisor Levi NGOMA has taken legal action against 3 individuals accusing him of defamation of character. His lawyers have filed a complaint and reported the matter to the police, alleging that statements made by ZAMBIA of National Democratic Congress faction, Emmanuel J. Banda and Sean Tembo regarding his involvement in the abduction of a member of parliament have damaged his reputation and hindered his ability to move freely in his hometown. Mr. NGOMA is seeking a retraction and apology from the trio. More in the following report.
State House Special Assistant to the President for Political Affairs, Levi NGOMA, is demanding a retraction of defamatory statements made by J.J. Banda, Sawoi Imboila, and Sean Tembo. Mr. NGOMA, accompanied by his lawyers Monday morning, filed in police reports of the named individuals who allegedly defamed him by claiming that he has a hand in the abduction of Petauke lawmaker Emmanuel J.J. Banda.
Been of great grief to our client. Mr. NGOMA has been the subject of a lot of ridicule, a lot of falsehoods, wrong statements, painting him as being part and parcel of individuals that were allegedly involved in the abduction of Honorable Emmanuel J.J. Banda. We want to make it very clear that Mr. Levi NGOMA did not in any way and at any time participate in the alleged abduction or otherwise of Mr. J.J. Banda. And those that are peddling lies and falsehoods against him have injured his reputation and have brought him into scandal and ridicule.
The lawyers say the reported individuals must defend their statements at the courts of law, as this is the right procedure in order to free their client from ridicule.
The instruction to ensure that the integrity of our client is restored, because out there people are making political capital of statements that are totally false, and this investigation calls upon those people, to justify their statements, and in the absence of that, obviously the legal consequences as stipulated in the law are going to follow. Other than that, basically that is why we came here, to ensure that the due process of law is complied with and followed in restoring the integrity of our client. What is lodged here, the police are going to carry out their professional investigations, and on the basis of their own findings, they will determine what, under the circumstances, is the appropriate course of action. So we are not here to make demands before the police, but to lodge a complaint, and then based on the police's independent investigations, they will do what is next as stipulated in the law.
Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Incarcerated outspoken independent member of parliament Munia Zulu has been ordered to appear before court without fail. This is in relation to a case where the lawmaker is charged for seditious practices. When the matter came up before Lusaka magistrate Trevor Kasanda for continued trial, defense lawyer McQueen Zaza sought for an adjournment owing to Mr. Zulu's absence as he is currently detained for a similar offense. But Magistrate Kasanda insisted that the Lumezi lawmaker is brought before court on Tuesday without fail, accompanied by his sureties. Details in the following report.
Incarcerated outspoken independent Lumezi Member of Parliament, Monia Zulu, will have to find means and present himself before the Lusaka Magistrate Court despite his detention without fail. The order by the Lusaka Magistrate, Trevor Kasanda, follows his absence before the court in a matter is facing one count of seditious practices before the court. When the matter came up before Lusaka Magistrate Trevor Kasanda for continued trial Monday, the lawyer of Mr. Zulu, McQueen Zaza, applied for an adjournment on grounds that his client is detained at Lusaka Central Police Station for alleged hate speech, espionage and seditious practices. But Magistrate Kasanda insisted that the embattled lawmaker facing a similar offense before his court presents himself by Tuesday, the 4th of June 2024, without fail. The court also demands that Mr. Zulu must be accompanied by his two sureties on Tuesday without fail. Mr. Zulu, together with others, has been slapped with fresh charges of hate speech, sedition, proposing tribal war, and espionage. This is a matter in which the Lumezi lawmaker is charged with one count of seditious practices contrary to Section 57, subsection 1b, as read with Section 60, subsection 1e of the Penal Code, a charge he pleaded not guilty to. Allegations are that Mr. Zulu, on September 6, 2023 in Lusaka, said seditious words on social media to which he claimed to have been reliably informed that the President was going to dissolve Parliament on Friday, September 8, 2023, after addressing Parliament, and that was going to call for early elections, words intended to incite violence or any offense prejudicial to public order. The Lumezi lawmaker is also facing different offenses before the court, ranging from hate speech and defamation, among others. As the day concludes, whether or not the accused appears before the court remains at discretion of the court on the next course of action. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Opposition leaders in Zambia crying foul over what they claim is a crackdown on their members by the ruling UPND party. Sean Tembo, president of the Patriots for Economic Progress, PEP, and Sakwiwa Sikota, chairperson of the United Kwacha Alliance, held a press briefing to decree the recent arrests of opposition figures, alleging that the government is using excessive force and extrajudicial punishment to silence them. They argue that the energy being spent on these arrests should instead be focused on addressing the country's economic woes.
The United Kwacha Alliance Monday morning held a press briefing to address the public over various concerns. Speaking at the event, Patriots for Economic Progress President Sean Tembo has alleged that the government is using vengeance towards opposition leaders in the country.
Why do they have a very high appetite for extrajudicial punishment? Why do they have a high appetite to incarcerate individuals and disrespect the Constitution of Zambia? Why? Where is their hatred coming from? Has got so much hatred, and they have a high appetite to harass and incarcerate the opposition is because they have failed. They have failed to run the affairs of this country. They have failed to deliver on their promises. They have failed to improve the standard of living of the people. And they know that the people will begin to ask questions.
And UKA chairperson Sakwiba Skota discloses that Petauke Member of Parliament JJ Banda is not only being kept away from the public, but his lawyers too. State Counsel Skota adds that the recent detentions of individuals from the opposition is being done outside the confines of the laws of Zambia.
That I break down what extrajudicial means. Extrajudicial means outside of the law. That these detentions and punishments are not as a result of the law saying that these people should be either detained or denied bail, but it is somebody doing it out of their own volition. In other words, these claims that are being made that they follow the rule of law are merely out there for public relations purposes. Because if you follow the rule of law, you will not do anything which is extrajudicial. He also said that JJ is being kept from the public. It is not only from the public, but sadly, he's being kept even away from his lawyers. Again, a clear indication that this government does not follow the rule of law.
And New Heritage Party President Shalakateka says it is disappointing to see Kadarism retain when it was the basis for the removal of the Patriotic Front in 2021. She says the UPND must stop the hypocrisy and do the right things for the majority of Zambians.
And disappointing to say the least with regard to what we are seeing today from this beleaguered government, this party in government. Let's start with what happened on Thursday last week when we saw a whole lot of cadres carrying pangas being allowed to go to deck and hurling insults at the former Republican president.
Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Department of Immigration has urged its officers to adopt best practices within and outside the country that would benefit its clients comprehensively. Speaking during a consultative meeting on the review of the Immigration and Deportation Act number 18 of 2020, Immigration Office Director General Japhet Lishomwa says the department will develop a law that is gender responsive and contemporary as stated in the recently launched migration policy. Mr. Lishomwa says migration is dynamic and can only be managed by good laws that stand the test of time. He adds that he is hopeful that the 5 days consultative meeting with stakeholders will yield results.
As a law enforcement agency, our role is to ensure a non-discriminatory and fair application of the law while upholding human rights of our clients. Dear colleagues, I am glad that we now have an opportunity through this consultative process to address the contentious issues in our current act and realign the law to address the dynamic migration environment. I'm very optimistic, colleagues, that the wealth of knowledge and experience in this room will culminate into the development of a law that is responsive to the emerging migration matters and challenges. In undertaking this exercise, I wish to urge you all to be very objective and open-minded. By so doing, we can develop a law that is comprehensive and responsive to the contemporary matters as set out in the migration policy, which takes a holistic approach to migration governance, leaving no stakeholder behind. Distinguished colleagues, migration is so dynamic that its trends and patterns have over the years been fast evolving. Migration cannot be stopped, as we know. It can only be managed. Good laws and practices are necessary tools for effective migration management. We therefore need to develop a law that shall stand the test of time. There is need to minimize barriers to regular migration, which are the major contributors to irregular migration. Our aim should therefore be the promotion of regular migration and regional integration.
Ruling United Party for National Development UPND consultant Max SIMUUWE has advised Patriotic Front Faction Information and Publicity Secretary Emmanuel Mwamba to act in a dignified manner. Mr. SIMUUWE says Mr. Mwamba has become an international propagandist who has no substantial evidence to support his allegations of being threatened on an international media platform. He says the impression being created by the opposition that UPND is worse than the past administration on the international media should come to an end.
It's sad that Emmanuel Mwamba has taken his propaganda too far, where he wants now to be an international propagandist. And today he's talking about many people being threatened. The law is very clear. If you feel threatened, have you reported the matter to the police? And he is not able to demonstrate himself who threatened him in the first place. Nobody has threatened him. And you see, this is what you cause when you are a propagandist. You cannot substantiate, even in your interview, a clear example of the threats that have come on you. Because what is supposed to be done in an ideal situation is for him to demonstrate who threatened his life. So it is not right, and it is shameful that a person that has been served at a very high-ranking position of an ambassador could go blatantly on an international news agency and start lying through his teeth, claiming that there are threats that are being sent to citizens in a quest to paint government black, knowing that the atrocities that they committed under their watch, such as extrajudicial killings that are well documented, that of killing Samansama, that of killing Joseph Kaunda, that of killing Mapes Chibulo, that of killing many others, including Gracia Mbataba. They want them watered down by making an impression that UPND is actually worse than what was happening, and that they are actually out to violate fundamental rights and freedoms of citizens through propaganda. I think that is not helpful. You must substantiate any proposition that you make, either through the domestic media house or international media.
For the second time, civil rights activist Brebna Changala and 4 other opposition leaders have not been presented before court or granted bail or police bond. Their lawyers have taken the unusual step of writing to the president to protest the prolonged detention, citing unacceptable conditions at Kabwata police station. The group was initially arrested on allegations of hate speech, sedition and espionage, but their legal team claims they are being unfairly held without due process. Now, in an item just received, the Lusaka High Court has granted Mr. Changala bail pending trial. More in the following report.
For the last few weeks, the happenings in the country over the missing of Petauke Central Member of Parliament Emmanuel JJ Banda has fueled more than investigations, as it has led to some political figures being placed behind bars for allegedly conflicting with the law. The commentaries of FDD leader Edith Nawakwi, civil rights activist Brebna Changala, Lumezi Member of Parliament Monia Zulu, Mfue Member of Parliament Maureen Mabonga, and Christian Democratic Party leader Dr. Danny Pule have led the 5 quenching for freedom while in custody for 7 days, as they remain uncertain when a possible police bond or bail will be granted to them. But lawyers representing civil rights activist Brebna Changala, Simeza Sangwa and Associates, have written to the country's #1 citizen seeking an intervention over the detention of their client. The lawyers indicate that despite having sureties ready to secure Mr. Changala's release on bail, the Zambia Police Service has allegedly refused to grant the outspoken activist his constitutional rights and claims Mr. Changala is in inhumane conditions at Kabwata Police Station, allegedly detained in a cell of about 16 square meters along with 34 other detainees. The lawyers argue that the continued detention of Mr. Changala without being taken to court or released on police bond paints a grim picture of the lack of upholding human rights as enshrined in the Zambian constitution and is a betrayal of the country's commitment to being a Christian nation that respects its citizens. This development comes amid a crackdown on some opposition leaders in Zambia, including Munia Zulu, Maureen Mabonga. Edith Nawakwi was also applied for bail pending trial, and Dr. Danny Pule were also charged with offenses of espionage, hate speech, sedition, and proposing tribal war. Recently, President Hakainde Hichilema took a rigid stance and vowed to be tougher going forward, promising that the law would take its course to any citizen seeking to divide the nation. According to Article 18 of the Zambian Constitution on the right to personal liberty, which includes the right to be brought before a court of law within 24 hours if not released. As the investigation unfolds, the Zambian community and others are waiting to ascertain whether the rule of law and democratic principles are upheld. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
A Copperbelt-based clergyman, Charles Chilesha, has applauded Konkola Copper Mines PLC's creditors for supporting the scheme of arrangement that enables Vedanta Resources to be on the right path of taking over the operations of the mining firm. Pastor Chilesha of Christ My Life Ministries says it is important that Vedanta Resources quickly takes over KCM for them to fulfill their investment commitments. He says the scheme is a milestone achievement for the people on the Copper Belt and Zambia, as it will revive the economy on the Copper Belt by implementing the investment commitments of injecting $1.3 billion United States dollars into the operations of the mining firm.
People of the Copper Belt province are elated and would like to commend the Class 2 creditors of Konkola Copper Mines PLC for supporting the second scheme of arrangement during the last creditors meeting of 30th May 2024. This is a milestone achievement for the people of the Copper Belt province, the people of Zambia as well, and even for those who live within the precincts of where Konkola Copper Mines PLC operates from, because they will receive jobs and many other benefits from the acquisition of full operations by Vedanta Resources. Now that Vedanta Resources is able to take over the full operations of the mining facility, they will be able, as was alluded to by their corporate communications director, they will inject $1.3 billion US dollars to recapitalize the mining asset, as well as contribute immensely to social corporate responsibility.
The Road Development Agency, RDA, has resumed repair works on the Chama-Lundazi Road. RDA Regional Manager Engineer Ivwananji Skombe has told Zanis Nchasefu that sport improvement works began last year but were temporarily suspended due to heavy rains. More from Zanis in the following report.
After facing delays due to heavy rains, the Road Development Agency, RDA, has resumed road repair works on the Chama-Lundazi Road. According to RDA Regional Manager, Engineer Ivwananji Skombe, sport improvement works began last year with a section from Egg Chicken to Membeteno covered.
So we are now targeting a section between Egg Chicken and Lundazi. So our strategy is to go flat out and do road formation from Egg Chicken towards Chama and also towards Lundazi. So in total we've covered about 26 kilometers of road formation. So when we reach Lundazi, I think we'll turn our machine to take the other direction now towards Chama. Then we'll select the sections which were very bad, where we need to raise the road, so that we do some spot dumping and do grading. So that's basically where we are. So in the next 2 weeks we should be able to reach Lundazi with road formation.
Engineer Sikombe also gave an update on the Chipata-Vubi Road and disclosed that 3 million kwacha has been received for the Chipata-Chadiza Road.
We've received initial funding for sport improvement works for Chipata-Chadiza Road. Okay? We are also already doing some work on Chipata-Vubi Road, sport improvement. Of course, we started last year, and our target was to cover the section which was impassable, which was making people, go through Malawi to get to Vubi. But we're happy to report that we succeeded last year. We completed that section, and people can, get to Vubi with minimal, more or less, like no challenges at all.
Road users who have long suffered from poor road conditions have commended government for the improved road conditions. Teresa Stali, Zanis News, Chasefu District, Eastern Province.
President Hakainde Hichilema has described the late former Secretary to a Cabinet, Sketchley Sachika, as a man who believed in national unity and focused on what was good for the country above personal interest. President Hichilema said Dr. Sachika was committed to service, underscored his strive for excellency. He urged leaders serving in different portfolios to emulate Dr. Sachika as wisdom and commitment to service by practicing servant leadership that is responsible and accountable. The head of state was speaking during a church service for the late Dr. Sachika held at the Anglican Cathedral of the Holy Cross in Lusaka. Zanis now reports.
It was a somber moment as President Hakainde Hichilema joined hundreds of mourners at the Anglican Cathedral of the Holy Cross to pay his last respect to former Secretary to Cabinet Sketchley Sachika. In his eulogy, President Hichilema describes the late Dr. Sachika as a man who was capable of delivering beyond borders.
In the public service, he distinguished himself here at home, but also far away. Again, it underscores his capabilities. When you are taken out of your environment, comfort zone, in a different environment, your abilities are tested even more. In places such as Geneva, or as it were, Switzerland, he was able to excel at a very senior level. I ask our young people to focus on education when the opportunity avails itself, learning from Dr. Sachika. And then your levels of comfort and ability to perform at any level improves. There's no question about that. Serving as Deputy Secretary to the Cabinet, rising to be Secretary to the Cabinet, serving our citizens is an onerous task. And I want to say to colleagues that are serving today, once in a while you reflect, am I doing what others before me in this office were able to do to serve the people of Zambia?
In a tribute, his son Andrew Sachika said his father was an honorable man who loved his family and could be relied upon in whatever situation.
For today, I want to tell you about a man who was the most honorable man, a man of integrity that I've ever known. And this man is called Sketchley Diamond Sachika. He was my father, my counselor, my mentor.
Earlier, Dr. Sachika's close friend Samuel Mlozi gave an account of his life history as he remembered him as a respected citizen who was also passionate about sports.
Dr. Sachika, at the time, was a great footballer. He was the goalkeeper of the Elephants football team, which then was a famous team in Mongo and the region. In 1966, Dr. Sachika married his beloved wife, Mrs. Esther Banda Sachika. The couple remained together until Mrs. Sachika's death in April 2023.
Meanwhile, Father Samson Chewe in his sermon encouraged Christians to live a life of repentance, emphasizing that death is a transition and those who die in Christ shall live again.
Come into existence. The only serious project in the midst of other minor projects remaining for you and me is to return to the Lord. When and how remains the secret of God, the author of life. Scripture in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3 says, the means stand for everything. That as we come into existence, certainly there will be time for us to depart this world, time to die.
Dr. Sachika was born on 29 August 1939 and died on 29 May 2024 at the age of 85 and was put to rest today at Leopards Hill Memorial Park. Audrey Kalenga for Zanis in Lusaka.
That particular story takes us to our first set of commercials, but do join us for sports and international news after the break.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palavana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Are you looking for a reliable and efficient courier company with international standards? Then let UBZ Courier, your trusted partner in swift and secure deliveries, be your ultimate choice. Whether it's a small package or a hefty consignment, UBZ Courier handles it all, locally and internationally. Our modern call center ensures personalized attention for every client. For seamless deliveries within Zambia and beyond, trust UBZ Courier. Call us now on +260 763 062 680 or visit us at plot number 15 Mwapona Road, Woodlands, Lusaka, Zambia. UBZ Courier, a world-class brand that can be trusted.
Attention, attention, attention. Prime land in Ibex Hill, Kablonga, Lusaka East on sale. 1 acre and 2 acres. Contact us on +260 972 300 300 or +260 962 965 883. Only serious buyers needed.
Welcome back and thank you so much for still joining us. And now in international news. Respiratory diseases affect the health of millions of people in Kenya. with the main cause the burning of biomass like firewood. But without affordable alternatives, most Kenyans continue to rely on traditional cooking fuels. Jen Mutoni is collecting firewood to light a fire in her kitchen made of iron sheets. Soon the roof, walls and wooden pillars are covered in soot. As she blows on the flame for tea, the 65-year-old is engulfed in smoke. Here's a roundup of international news.
Respiratory diseases affect the health of millions of people in Kenya. The main cause of these diseases is the burning of biomass such as firewood. But despite the risks, most Kenyans continue to rely on traditional cooking fuels for their energy needs, with cleaner options too expensive for many. I have been using firewood all my life and wake up every morning to fetch it. However, the smoke from the firewood makes me cough for long periods and causes difficulty in breathing. LPG gas is quite expensive, and I cannot afford it. Respiratory diseases have been the most prevalent diseases in Kenya for the past 6 years, according to government authorities, with 19.6 million cases reported in a study released last year.
It's not only carbon monoxide. Actually, one of the causes, the biggest problem is the particulate matters. The particulate matter is usually the one that we call PM 2.5. And that one there, you find that it is the one that is associated with pneumonias, is one that's associated with asthma, and so on. And it is usually brought around by fuel for cooking. Electricity could be the cleanest, but it's a bit expensive.
The number of Kenyan households relying on firewood has risen in recent years. But for businesswoman Mercy Letting in Nairobi, the impact on her health from using charcoal made her decide to change to an induction burner for cooking. While using these stoves, I can use a sack of charcoal for 2 months, unlike before. Therefore, I am able to save 4,500 shillings in extra money. Moreover, in terms of my health, I don't go to the hospital as often as before, and I am able to be at work throughout. This translates to more profits. The World Health Organization attributed an estimated 3.2 million deaths in 2020 to household pollution, with women and children making up the majority. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov arrived in Guinea on Monday on the first leg of an African tour aimed at boosting support for Moscow. Russia's foreign ministry announced the visit on the Telegram social media app. Lavrov is expected to continue his tour in Chad and Burkina Faso, according to reports by Russian state media. The trip comes as Moscow looks to bolster support from countries on the continent amidst Russian isolation on the world stage. In July last year, Russian President Vladimir Putin hosted several African heads of government at the second Russia-Africa summit in St. Petersburg.
Really loved, and I'd never thought I would hear.
South Africa's president has urged parties to find common ground in talks, following the announcement on Sunday of the final election results, confirming that the ruling ANC party had lost its majority.
All thronging to the centers that you have appointed. Our people have spoken. Whether we like it or not, they have spoken. As the leaders of political parties, as all those who occupied or occupy positions of responsibility in society, we have heard the voices of our people, and we must respect their choices and their wishes.
With only around 40% of the vote, the ANC will now be seeking to form a coalition government with at least one other party, with the party's leadership due to meet on Tuesday to plot the path forward.
What this election has made plain is that the people of South Africa expect their leaders to work together to meet their needs. They expect the parties for which they have voted to find common ground, to overcome their differences, to act and work together for the good of everyone.
Of this beautiful nation. The parties will now be aiming to work out a deal before the new parliament sits in 2 weeks' time and elects a president.
And finally, in sports news this evening, the Polo Polo boys have intensified preparations for this Friday's Group E FIFA World Cup qualifier against Morocco, with Czech Republic-based Benson Sakala joining camp. Sakala's arrival only leaves Sweden-based Edward Chilufya and his Tanzanian domiciled counterpart, Kennedy Musonda, to join camp. On Sunday, the team stepped up preparations at National Hero Stadium in Lusaka as coach Avram Grant and his technical bench drilled the lads. The team is expected to leave for Agadir on Wednesday for Friday's clash. Coach Avram Grant has named a 27-member squad that will be trimmed to 23 before departure for Morocco. And on that note, we end this edition's Evening of the News. We can only wish the Polo Polo boys all the best as they face Morocco. Now, before we go, a recap of stories that made headlines. Presidential advisor NGOMA demands retraction and apology over defamation allegations. 21 Chinese nationals plead guilty to cybercrime and fraud charges. UPND consultant SIMUUWE advises opposition to end negative international media campaign. And in international news, Kenya seeks to shift towards clean cooking fuels. And in sports, Zambia steps up preparations for FIFA World Cup qualifier against Morocco. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day coming from 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 19, and it reads, "To wit, that God was in Christ, reconciling the world unto himself, not imputing their trespasses unto them, and hath committed unto us the word of reconciliation." We conclude this edition of the main news. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is Tapelo Joe Smarter. Good evening and God bless.